Welcome to the California Maverick, a channel fighting for a free and sane California. California Democrats in Sacramento are trying to push a new bill that compromises the safety and well-being of children by allowing complete strangers to take custody of them without parental notification or consent, all under the guise of protecting undocumented families. Let's get into it.
Making its way through the state legislature would streamline processes for temporary guardianship, and caregiver arrangements for children.
Yeah, it's called the Family Preparedness Act of 2025. The bill's author wrote it in response to immigration enforcement actions that could cause parents being separated from their kids. The bill creates a new process for short-term guardianships in probate court. Now, this allows parents to designate someone to care for their children temporarily while maintaining their parental rights. The proposal broadens the definition of non-relative extended family member, and that means that they can receive an authorization affidavit. It also limits the extent to which schools and child care facilities can cooperate with immigration enforcement. Supporters say that the bill gives caregivers legal recognition and children access to essential services without interruption. Opponents are raising concerns about the bill's potential to weaken parental rights and create some loopholes for child custody transfers. It's set to be heard in the Senate Appropriations Committee later this month. It already passed the state assembly.
California Assembly Bill 495, AB 95, the Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025. The names these Democrats give these bills here in California makes my head spin. It's always something like the Fluffy Kitty and Rainbows Act, and it does something completely different or the exact opposite. Anyway, AB 495 is being pushed by Democrats in Sacramento as a way to help families in crisis. And it's being sold under the guise of protecting illegal migrant families or undocumented migrant families who are facing deportation and they need someone else to pick up their kids from school. There's a lot to unpack there with that sentence alone. But the bill doesn't stop at illegal migrant families or their children. It applies to all children who attend school, citizens and non-citizens. We're going to table some pretty glaring issues with that sentence. Number one, you have people who are in this country illegally or undocumented who aren't supposed to be here having kids in a school system that they don't pay for. And you have this bill that is passively obstructing law enforcement from executing their duties by protecting or allowing these undocumented parents, these illegal parents, to hide from law enforcement officers. AB 495 also expands who can be a temporary caregiver for the children and expands the definition of A, a person, B, a non-relative, C, a relative, and D, school-related medical care. I'm going to briefly go over the definitions. A person includes an individual, corporation, partnership, association, the state, or any city and county, or other public entity or governmental subdivision or agency, or any other legal entity. That's a really broad definition for person. Basically means anyone or anything, really. A non-relative extended family member means any adult caregiver who has an established familial or mentoring relationship with the child, or who has an established familial relationship with a relative of the child. Again, literally anybody. And the definition of relative means an adult who is related to the child by blood, adoption, or affinity with the fifth degree of kinship, including all step-parents, step-siblings, and all relatives whose status is preceded by the words great, great-great, or grand, or the spouse of any person specified in this definition, even after the marriage has been terminated by death or dissolution. So if there's a restraining order because of an abusive relationship or what have you, it doesn't matter. They can still take him. And you're probably asking, well, no, there's a restraining order or they have to show proof of identity or relation. The bill explicitly states there's no need for a background check. There's no need for an ID, a driver's license, nothing. There's also no requirement for the school to contact the parent or legal guardians to notify them or confirm the identity of this person who's picking up the child. It's all to protect the immigration status of these people, even though this is applicable to citizens as well and their children.
The meat market bill, it is a trafficking bill. It is unbelievable. So much so, don't believe me. Go to realimpact.us. It allows an individual to obtain this new form that comes with the bill. They fill it out. And they can name a child. John goes to a school in California and says, I have this form and I am asking for Susie Q to be received into my custody. I want to take her out of school. The bill does not require a background check for this man, requires no identification, no driver's license, no nothing. There's no requirement in the bill for the school to call you to ask you if it's okay if John takes your daughter out of school. If this bill passes, I am going to ask you to leave the state of California. You're going to need to pack up and you're going to have to get out. You got to get out. You got to run with your kids. You got to go.
Section 3 of the bill literally says, except as required by state or federal law or as required to administer a state or federally supported educational program, school officials and employees of a local educational agency shall not collect information or documents regarding citizenship or immigration status of pupils or their family members. Now, there is a form, an affidavit, that these parents or these family members or mentors or God knows who they are have to fill out. But there's no verification. It doesn't need a court order. It doesn't need to be notarized. It doesn't need parental signature. Again, no background checks, no verification. This person can just fill out this affidavit and say, I'm this person, I'm going to take the child. Of course, there is charges for perjury, but at that point, without notifying the parents, without confirming the identity, by the time the parents or the guardians find out, the child is long gone. Or, God forbid, the damage and the trauma have already been done. Or, God forbid, you have one of these lunatic, crazy, vile, disgusting teachers that grooms a child into having these medical procedures or this medical care without the parents knowing, which is also protected by a bill that Newsom signed in 2022. Or not just medical care, but also committing and conducting even more vile acts with these children. This bill opens up the floodgates and leaves our most vulnerable, our children, susceptible to all kinds of illegal activity, trafficking, predators, all without the knowledge or consent of their parents. And it goes even further than just taking the child without the parents' consent. The affidavit allows these caregivers the power to consent to non-school related medical care. That means any type of medical care, medical, dental, and mental health care. And that also includes what these Democrats really want, which is vile and sickening, is gender-affirming care for minors, puberty blockers, hormones, or surgeries, all without the knowledge or consent of the parents. This is just pure evil. Now, supporters of the bill say that parents can override these decisions and they can stop them from happening. But how is that even possible if they're not even notified that these people are taking these children or these people are administering these procedures or this medical care? The parents don't even know. It's without their knowledge or consent. So how can they prevent it from happening when there's no knowledge of it? And just to provide a little bit of proof, if you don't believe me about the transgender care, California Senator Scott Wayner, one of AB 495's biggest advocates, and I think co-authors, is trying to pass another bill to protect transgender medical providers. And he's been quite open about his support and advocacy for gender-affirming care for minors. What's really frustrating about this is that the California liberal media, the propaganda machine here in California, doesn't even talk about it, doesn't even mention it. And I know for a fact, even in California, most parents are against this type of stuff with their kids, especially the gender-affirming care. The people who support this are Democrat politicians and a very, very loud minority. But the liberal media, the propaganda machine in California, knows it's unpopular, knows it compromises the Democrat stronghold in this state, and so they run cover for them. Okay, so what can you do? AB 495 still has to go to the Senate and get passed by the California State Senate. And then it gets kicked back to the assembly if there's any amendments or edits. So you can call your state senator and urge them to vote no. You can share this to all your friends who are parents and have kids in school. Assembly Bill 495, share it on social media. If you want, you can share this video and I'll have a link to another video from a state assembly member called DeMaio in the description. And if this bill does pass, you really only have two options. Homeschool or leave the state if you have children and don't want them to get compromised. The unfortunate thing is there's a bill, AB 84, which is still under review and still needs to get passed, which will basically remove funding and make homeschooling in charter schools illegal. It's a whole different thing. I'll have a video on that linked at the end. But call your state senator, share AB 495 to all your friends who have kids, who have children in school. And the last thing that I can say, as a man of faith, pray for the protection of our children. If you like this video, leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.